Hey, everybody. Welcome to Basic AF, a college football podcast for newbies and fanatics experts. I'm Brendan Marcello. This is my wife, Amanda Marcello. It's crazy how we have the same last name, huh? In this day and age. Hey, by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and subscribe.
And hit that like button.
As our kid would say. He'd repeat himself whenever he watches YouTube videos as a little toddler.
Oh, so cute.
And if you're on wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to us or follow us or whatever they call it now. Everybody's got their own little gadget there. But it really helps us, YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. It really helps. So if you just listen, just like it. And if you want to keep up with us, subscribe to it and follow it.
That wasn't clunky at all.
No, not clunky at all. Thanks for joining us. So the Super Bowl came and went. Not much to talk about there. You guys already have seen it. Everybody's broken it down. But we're going to get into college football. There's still plenty going on here in the off season. And I wrote a story this week for CBSSports.com about spring practices and how coaches are more convinced now than ever that maybe it's time to get rid of spring practices and move to a NFL kind of like OTAs, I guess what you call them, organized team activities.
So does that mean like going bowling as a team? I mean, what does that mean? Organized team activity. I mean, seriously, what does it mean?
Yeah, it means like, so the NFL.
Like team bonding?
Like they come to, like the NFL, I believe, I don't cover the NFL, but like in May and June, they come together and like have practices and just kind of workouts and everything. It's not real. It's structured, but it's not something that's like, you've got 15 days, 10 of them are padded practices and all this or whatever, and then at the end you have a spring game and 50,000 people come into your stadium. Okay. Well, college coaches, the ones I spoke to 18 of them.
Wait, so it is actually like workouts and not like a team
it's
cookout?
Practices. Yeah, it's not team workouts or team cookout or bowling or group therapy.
Well,
but
could be useful.
It could be, but they want to be able to have more flexibility. Back in January, the coaches got together for their annual meeting, and they, at that point, remember, they discussed moving the transfer portal to where it wouldn't be two windows in December and April. There'd just be one,
just the one
for 10 days in January.
Right.
Because they want to help with roster attrition, also tampering from other teams, trying to steal players from the roster.
Poaching and all that, yeah.
But in that discussion, they also discussed, hey, maybe we should tweak the spring practice calendar too, because one, the season's longer than it ever was because of the expanded playoff. And also it bumps up into the transfer portal window in April. That's currently in effect right now. And so, and a lot of coaches, including Nebraska's Matt Rule, who last week, I believe, said, hey, we don't want to play a spring game because it's going to be on TV and other coaches are going to watch it and they're going to go, hey, that player looks really good. Let's go get them when the spring portal transfer window opens up in April. And so they start tampering. Some coaches don't buy into that too much. I had several coaches tell me tampering is going on year round. So if a guy's going to leave, he knows he's going to leave before the transfer portal window opens anyway.
Well, and they already know who the good players are anyway. I mean, right?
Right. But to put it kindly, coaches are paranoid.
Right.
And they're afraid that just one guy, like a third teamer, might pop in the spring game and just be like, all of a sudden, this guy who might be end up being your top backup or could be a starter when September, October rolls around, all of a sudden he's going to your rival team because he's entering the portal, getting offered all this money. So, player health turning around quickly after the regular season. So you're talking about like Notre Dame or Ohio State that just played the national championship game, having to go back to spring practices within 2 months. And as you know,
are they going full out in spring practices?
Oh yeah, they do full contact. I mean, they're
full
tackling
contact,
for the
full
most part.
pads, all the whole thing.
Yeah,
okay.
And so the more tired a body is, the more susceptible it is to injury. So coaches are worried about that too. So they want flexibility. One idea that's been pitched out there is give us 30 days of team activities.
Bowling.
Go bowling, go see a movie. Starting with our spring semester all the way through like the month of June. So you can pick 30 days, spread out wherever. And among those 30 days, you'd have 10 contact days, which would be like full padded practices and everything.
And the rest of the days would be like going over film.
Well, not film, but they'd be on the practice field. They'd be doing something
Like
team related
soft
on the
drills
field,
or
workouts
something?
and stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
right. So, but spread that out because everybody's academic calendar is different. Also, everybody's season ends at a different time and date. So, like
yeah.
if you're Ohio State, Notre Dame, you might push back, not even do anything until May or June, so you can give your guys some more rest. Also, a lot of teams, their roster's not set in spring. So you got all these transfer portal additions, high school signees. Some of them are on campus now, but most of them won't be there till June, July, August. So you're practicing with limited depth anyway. You don't have your full roster. So why not wait until June when you've got your full roster for the most part there and then do your team activities and do your practices, much like the NFL does.
So just run it like a mini NFL. Got it.
That's kind of where we're going, and that leads
Well,
to
yeah, I
the other
mean,
point
yeah.
is we're moving closer and closer to this being more like the NFL. Every little thing that
Yeah.
every little change is like, what did the NFL do? What did the NFL
Right.
do?
It's what it feels like to a casual observer anyway.
Hey. And Amanda is a casual observer. Is it a good idea? I don't know. I think there's a lot of credence to it, but
NFL makes money.
NFL does make money. My one issue with it is that college football is supposed to be different from the NFL, right?
Right.
And if you take away spring games, which were already kind of dying down anyway, a lot of programs are doing like festivals where they'd have like flag football or they'd play like a half of football
I didn't realize
instead.
that.
Oh, yeah. It's changed quite a bit the last few years.
Okay.
Ole Miss is the most famous, though other teams have been doing
Is that like a COVID relic?
No.
COVID times or no?
Coaches don't want the roster tampering, so they don't
Right.
put their players out there
Okay.
running their actual plays. They also don't want to get players hurt, they say, so they don't do full padded spring scrimmages at the end of everything. Like Ole Miss last year with Lane Kiffin, they did hot dog eating contests and
Lane.
tug of war and all that stuff.
Silly, goofy
And
Lane.
I think they only use like a 50-yard field or 40-yard field, no tackling for their spring game.
So they're playing flag football.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's like you got to have the fans interact with your team at least once a year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Outside the season to keep them engaged because you're asking fans already for more than ever from them because of the money situation.
It's a huge buy-in for fans.
You're asking fans to pay extra money for tickets in the regular season because now they're attaching talent fees to the tickets to help pay players.
What is a talent like?
Well, that's just like, how a surcharge, like Ticketmaster
like
charges you $12.
Like it's a Ticketmaster
It's like, yeah, this is a talent fee for these players. So Tennessee's doing that. Several other schools are doing that this upcoming season. So tickets are going up.
I've not heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Tickets are going up, and you're asking fans to donate money to all your collectives and all that stuff in addition to that. Meanwhile, you're saying, hey, potentially, we're going to take a spring game away from you. And I think the bigger issue here is that spring games are set up for the casual fan or the fan that cannot afford spending several $1,000s to take their family to a game and travel over the weekend. The spring game is usually either free or it's very cheap with tickets, and you can take the entire family out there for a weekend. A school usually centers it around other athletic events like a baseball series is going on at the same time on campus and other stuff. And so you can take the family there for relatively cheap and have a big weekend, and you get to see the players, and usually the players sign autographs on the field afterward and all that stuff. And it's like a game day feel for them, and 70,000 people show up to these events. But now that is already dwindling because, as I said, they're changing the format of a lot of these schools. But now if you say, hey, we're just going to get rid of spring games, we're just going to do OTAs, it's not going to set very well with fans, especially the ones that, like, college football is a family event anyway, and you can take that
allegedly.
Away. Allegedly. But there's also,
it is, but they're,
there's also opportunity there. OTAs in the NFL, usually they set up stands like bleachers, and so you bring in like a couple thousand fans can sit there and watch, and then the fans will walk by and sign autographs every now and again. But it's not going to be like
I was about to say, so it's similar, but it's not.
It's not a game day feel. And you're not going to have one crowning event where everybody shows up and gets autographs and, you get a sneak peek of what the team's actually going to look like in a game. Those are more or less just practices and guys are standing around a lot.
Okay, I don't like this. I don't think I like it.
I think
I haven't been to a spring game since college.
Yeah.
But I don't think I like it.
No, you've been to one in Auburn.
Well, not as
you were a photographer for me.
Oh, I thought you were doing air quotes. You were doing the.
What was that?
I thought you. No, I out of the. Yeah, I thought you
Okay.
were. Okay. Very similar movement.
The big thing here is like we again continue to march closer and closer to college football being professionalized.
Yeah.
It's getting closer there.
I don't like
But it's
it.
interesting. I was talking to all these coaches and getting text messages from them, and some are like, I don't care. Let's do spring games or whatever. And then some were like, let's do spring games, but I don't want it on TV because I don't want coaches to see what I've got and all this stuff. And it's just
Do
like,
they not think that coaches are going to have people like little spies in there anyway?
well, they already know that too. They're
I mean,
afraid
they know,
of
yeah.
that.
Well,
Again, coaches are just paranoid.
but I'm saying whether it's on TV or not, they're going to have people.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not hard to buy an opponent's T-shirt and go to the spring game. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole Connor Stallions thing with Michigan.
What is that?
Connor Stallions
that?
was
What is
like
that?
a analyst for Michigan for several years, and he allegedly was going out to other games for opponents and sitting in the stands and like filming their signals and all that, or he would hire people to go to the games disguised as a fan and take pictures of signals and try and figure out their communications. There's even photographs out there of someone allegedly that it looks like Connor Stallions on the sideline at an opponent's sideline, looking around with what looks like a camera in his sunglasses, allegedly.
When was this?
Within the last couple of years,
Oh.
last year, it's been big. They did the whole
Okay,
Netflix
wow.
documentary on it this past season.
Oh wow.
A lot of controversy there because Michigan got really good during that time.
Uh-oh.
And then won the national championship a year ago. And
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a story for another day. I can't believe you hadn't heard about that. That like transcended sport. That was like in
Nah.
the news.
Nah, it's checked out.
And it's all over Netflix. But
Let's watch it. Have you watched it?
I haven't
Did you watch
watched
it without me?
I haven't watched it for reasons. I heard it's not very good.
Oh.
And also,
Okay.
I whatever. I'd rather
Okay.
talk to the guy myself than
Okay, that's
depend
fair.
on someone else to ask questions. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it.
That's fair.
I don't want to get myself in trouble.
You want to maintain plausible deniability with your journalistic standards.
Yeah,
Or some
I mean,
such.
to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, I get
Okay.
it.
Now, speaking of money, big paydays.
I like money.
I like money. Money's good. That's funny. You like money too.
I like money.
Idiocracy's a classic. I was in on that movie when it came
Years
out.
ago, yeah.
When it came out, I was like, this thing's genius. But that's Mike Judge for you.
It's great.
Okay, so the SEC has a lot of money. We're gonna talk money here quite a
Do
bit in
they?
this segment.
Do they have a lot of money?
That's the rumor.
Yeah.
The SEC announced its payout to its schools, its member institutions for the 2023-24 academic year, a total of $808.4 million, which averages out to $52.5 million per school, which is only a modest increase of $1.2 million from the previous year.
Okay.
This, of course, was the first like half year of OU and Texas being in the league. They each got only $27.5 million as a result, but they'll become full paid members or whatever here in a year.
Fully vested soon.
And based off my math, this money does not really take into consideration, I think, the new ESPN deal they've got. So by my math and the contracts and everything, this total number of $808.4 million will probably increase about $245 million next year. So if my math's correct, the SEC is going to be making over $1 billion
billy?
just in like TV and revenue and bowl money and all that stuff.
A Billy.
A billy. So
Nice.
the rich get richer. The Big Ten is probably still going to be above the SEC because they got a bigger deal with their media partners. They shopped around to several media partners, whereas the SEC is just married to the ESPN now, has their own network, and all their games on the ESPN networks. But yeah, imagine what you could do with $52.5 million every year.
I mean, whatever I wanted, I guess.
Yeah, schools still
So many
aren't-
books.
School, yeah.
All the books I want.
Schools still aren't happy with it because revenue sharing is coming
Well,
up.
it's never enough.
They have to
never gonna be
pay
enough.
players $20.5 million up to starting in July if this House settlement gets approved in April, like everybody thinks it will. And some schools are prepared for it, some aren't. It's kind of hard when you spend a lot of money to stop spending money.
Yeah.
Even if you see the end of the line coming, and this has been coming for 3 to 5 years. A lot of people have been preparing for this. I talked to ADs, including an AD who's no longer the AD somewhere at a major SEC school, and this was 7 years ago, 7 years ago. They were preparing for just this potential possibility. Back then, the big news was this thing called the Alston money, the Alston case, which is where they could pay players like pretty much like $5,000 a year or whatever. So, my math's wrong, but it's very not
Nominal
substantial
compared to
and
this.
they were worried. They're like, how are we going to afford this and everything?
$5K?
Yeah, $5K per athlete. So now it's like, yeah, buddy, get ready to pay like $20.5 million in addition to NIL money, which could add on top of that.
Yeah.
But some schools were preparing for this potential. Like, listen, they realized the door was open for players to get paid, and at some point, someone's going to kick that door down and ask for more money, and they're going to come for it. So some schools prepared for it.
Well, that's called having good stewardship, I think.
Some didn't, because listen, a lot of athletic directors are living day by day, just trying to save their own job.
I was about to say, is that just
win games with coaches?
Yeah, is that just a lack of preparedness, or are they just
a lot of them are
putting out so many fires they don't have time to prepare?
And they're like, how can I be successful now to keep my job for another
the
year?
next 5 minutes?
For another year, yeah. And that's got to change a little bit. They've got to. You've seen some athletic departments hiring more like CEO types. Used to be, it was just like, hey, former coach. He's old now, so now he's running the department. Not like that anymore. You're getting CEOs in there, guys that have been in the like streaming television space, now running conferences and even athletic departments. So things have changed. People are trying to be better with their money, but it's a bad time to just now be adjusting to it, because I mean the tidal wave.
Well, the
is
time
here.
was years ago to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think not everybody, a lot of people saw this coming. A lot of reporters saw this coming from talking to people. But here we are, ready or not. Here they come. Other money news.
Money.
Ohio State coach Ryan Day, national champion now, signed a new term sheet for a 7-year deal. I got a hold of it. Salary is...
I'd like to go on the record, Ohio State fans, and say congratulations.
Yeah.
To your team and to your coach.
Yeah, she was hating on you guys because Arkansas lost to them.
Hating. Listen,
11,
I don't want to.
14 years ago.
Congratulations.
She wasn't hating on you. It's just weird. Anyway, so now he's the second highest paid coach in college football. Behind? Who do you think he's behind?
Well, is this ever and all time?
Right now.
Currently.
But also all time. Who do you think would be paid more money than him right now as a head coach? And don't look at my notes because it's on there.
I'm not looking. I'm trying really hard not to look.
All right.
I don't know.
It's Kirby Smart at Georgia. He owns a couple of national championships already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to get paid more than him.
Yeah.
He's at $13 million, so he's only $500,000 below him per year.
Okay.
This money is just ridiculous when I say it out loud.
I remember, what was it when Nick Saban got up to like $7 million and people were like, this is insanity.
Oh, yeah. I remember back when the highest paid coach was $3 million.
Yeah.
And before that, I remember it was insane that like some coaches in the middle tier of the SEC were getting $1 million a year.
Yeah. Wasn't it Saban that got $7 million?
Yeah. I mean, he was the highest paid guy
at the time. Yeah. I remember people losing their minds.
Yeah. His buyout is $11.5 million for every year remaining on the contract. And based off my journalist math, that's 92% of his deal is guaranteed no matter what. If Ohio State wants to fire him, they have to pay him 92% of the money that's left on his deal.
I will never, I have never, and I will never understand the college coaching buyout system.
Yeah.
To suck at your job, or not even to suck at your job, to be perceived as sucking at your job, and get paid. What was the math? $11.5 million to not fulfill what they think you should fulfill as part of your job. They say, this isn't working out. Here's $11.5 million for you to go away and get paid a couple million somewhere else as well.
Oh, it's not just that $11.5 million. You're getting $11.5 million each year remaining on your deal.
Okay, that's worse then.
Yeah, so you're talking if they fired Ryan Day next year, they would owe him about $70 million. Can you imagine?
No,
Can you imagine?
I can't.
Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M got fired and they had to pay him a buyout over these next few years. It's over $70 million just for not coaching.
Well,
but here's what you're getting to, right? How the heck does this make any business sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And again, this is something I want to report on at some point, but you're not going to be able to sit Jimmy Sexton, the top agent out there. I want to sit these guys down, athletic directors, agents, inject them with truth serum where I've got 20 minutes with them.
Wonder Woman's lasso.
Yeah, the lasso of truth.
Yeah,
that'll
the
work
lasso
too.
of truth. Yeah, I get that.
And be like, how are you doing this? And
Who's
how are you convincing them? And for one, why do you feel like you have to do this? Just because you're afraid someone's going to steal your coach?
Who's the
other
guy?
thing is, it's like, who's going to steal your coach?
Who's the guy that inked the first deal like this? I want to know that because somebody had to do it first. Who got the first deal like this? Who got the first big buyout and made it the norm? That's what I want to know because this wasn't always the deal.
Look at that. You're giving me story ideas. But, everything's relative.
Hey, real quick, edit that out. I don't want anybody to steal that story idea.
Wow.
But seriously, who made that?
It's all relative because you probably look back at 1996 and someone was getting paid $800,000, but their buyout was $1.5 million.
Okay,
a
but
time
still,
and a half of their salary, and everybody's like, we can't pay that.
But still, what other industry?
I don't know. I really don't.
Are there other industries?
That's why
people leave us a comment. Are there other industries where you get paid a lot of money to get fired? And I'm not talking about like severance packages. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like you don't fulfill your job duties, you don't meet the criteria, they can you, and you get millions of dollars. What are we doing?
Because they're afraid that the moment they are really successful, they'll go somewhere else. But here's my other thing with that right? If they're worried about their coach,
my cheeks are getting hot. I'm mad about it.
The thing is, if they're worried about their coach being poached by another school, then why isn't the buyout for the coach to pay the school if he leaves for another school as high? Because Ryan Day's buyout, if he takes another job, is only $6 million.
Okay. Okay. Say that slower.
If Ryan Day wants to leave Ohio State after next season, and says, I'm going to go to Illinois or Penn State. I'm going to go to Penn State like my DC just did.
I miss him.
The school or Ryan Day himself has to pay Ohio State $6 million. Whereas Ohio State, if they fire him,
hold on. You said the school or Ryan Day has to pay?
The other school that takes them. Usually it's the other school that offsets and pays it.
Okay.
So again, monopoly money.
And they're worried about being able to pay the athletes?
And there's my other point I was about to get to. You got coaches and these ADs complaining about, man, is this what we want college football to be? Paying all these players? I mean, they don't know how to handle this. It's like, you don't know how to handle your own damn business and own money. You're signing deals with coaches where you're guaranteeing them 90% of their deal for 7-10 years. I mean, Jimbo Fisher's deal was a 10-year deal, pretty much guaranteed. And meanwhile, you're going players like, we can't pay them every year. Like, you're not signing these players to 4-year deals yourself. You're just saying you're committing to them for a semester by semester at this point. But they're, again, yeah.
Well, the people in charge are never going to work against their best interest and against their own pocketbook.
She said it, folks, not me. Meanwhile, at a former school that I used to cover, Auburn, their defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, who's a bit of a controversial figure himself.
Why is he controversial?
He was a head coach once, and a player on the field died.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I did not know that.
At a workout. Anyway, so DJ Durkin, his salary now $2.5 million. He was only paid $1.3 million last year. He got a bump, pretty much a double his salary this year. You know, listen, I don't cover the coaching carousel as much as I used to, but I didn't really hear his name come up, even though other jobs were open that he'd probably fit, like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State for defensive coordinator spots. But I never really heard his name get serious play. Maybe I'm mistaken there. Maybe it did. But he gets a big bump in pay. at a school at Auburn where they want to win championships, but the only good thing they had this past year was their defense, and they dealt with some injuries, but it still wasn't like a world beater defense. But again, it's just one of those situations where it's just you're paying these coaches so much money at the first sign of, well, you did good, you did very good, so here's a lot more money.
Monopoly money.
It's what it is. It's monopoly money at this point. Very much so. Okay, now back to the players.
Take a deep breath because that was crazy. I'm riled up about that.
It's a lot of money. It's monopoly money. Everybody calls it monopoly money. I've been saying it for years. It's fun money, and I still think that even with it going in the future, it's still going to be fun money because you're going to have private equity get involved.
Oh yeah,
which, to be quite honest, might actually give them some more responsibility and better accounting practices, because private equity is, we're going to make some cuts to make more money. You're not going to just keep spending money for the sake of it. You got to be frugal with your money because we want money.
Yeah, we want our cut.
We want our cut. So say what you will about private equity, but maybe it would put these athletic departments in better working shape, but they probably also leave a big hole in the ground afterward as well. So the power conference, revenue sharing's coming. Looks like July 1 is when it's going to start if the House settlement gets approved. The salary cap for power conference teams, $20.5 million they can share with all athletes on campus, right?
Now that means all athletes.
Yes.
Volleyball,
yes.
track, softball,
you got to pay them something.
Okay.
The big issue, and I'm not going to get into it right now, is Title IX. Can you give football players more money than, say, your women's basketball players? The idea is, yes, you can, because they generate more revenue. And the back payments in this lawsuit going to former athletes, the formula is football players get the bulk of it, and then it trickles down further. But some schools are worried because of Title IX, but because of the new administration in Washington, they're pushing back on that, saying Title IX doesn't really affect this, that you can pay football players more money based off the revenue they generate, but they don't have that like in writing, so to speak. So schools are just kind of going, guess we'll do it and get sued and we'll maybe win in court.
And you said that goes into effect in July?
Yeah.
They have to start cutting checks by July?
I think it's July 1 when that all starts. They can start cutting checks. It's coming.
Lots to figure out.
Yeah, well, they're not going to have it all figured out. It's going to be school by school deciding how much they give, where they reach the entire cap of $20.5 million, how much they give to football players, how much they give to women's basketball players. And a lot of these schools are probably going to be sued.
And what's the back date?
The back payments are,
I
think the previous 4 to 5 years, I can't remember the exact dates, for all athletes, and they have to opt in. So they have to have like a website where they opt into a class action lawsuit or whatever, and they're going to get a little cut. Not all that much money.
I was about to say 4 or 5 years from all the sports, $20.5 million. I mean, that'll go fast.
Well, no, it's more than that. The back payments are more than $20.5 million. I can't remember the exact figure, but it's billions. I mean, this is one of the largest.
No, you said per school, 20.5 per school.
That's future payments. We're not talking about back payments.
Oh, I'm very confused.
Yep, you should be.
Okay.
It's confusing.
Right where I should be. Great.
It's freaking ridiculous.
Okay.
Keeping up with this crap. Just so much money floating out there. I just want to grab a dollar bill out of the air, catch me some.
Hey, we did intramural sports at the U of A. Are we entitled to anything?
You're entitled to back payments. I
played in the Sigma Nu White Rose Bowl a few times.
I played in the Media Bowl between the Arkansas Traveler and UATV.
Are we entitled to anything?
Yeah, give us some money.
I like money.
Okay, so the power conferences now are kind of having these clandestine meetings, right? Behind closed doors in Washington, D.C., okay? And the power conferences getting together, they're wanting to create their own LLC, right? That's going to help oversee this new governance structure for college sports once revenue sharing is put in place. Think of it as an offshoot of the NCAA without the ties really to the NCAA.
This will go well.
Yes. So they want this LLC to kind of oversee enforcement of the new revenue sharing model. So you would have a CEO installed.
Truly an LLC or like a government entity?
An LLC.
Okay.
Maybe there will, but again, maybe the government says, no, you're not doing that. We're going to create a government entity. We don't know yet. But the power conferences, they're working together to create an LLC. They want to put a CEO in place to kind of figure out one that's going to oversee all the contracts they're doing with all these players, make sure they're fair market value and all this. No one's doing something crazy out there. And then also have a clearinghouse to approve all these deals. So as it stands right now, the NCAA guidance is, I think anything over $600 or over $800 NIL wise or whatever, I think they're talking about having to be cleared by a clearinghouse and everything looked over. But the NCAA is going to have its hands full. So the power conferences are like, we're the only ones who are required to kind of do this. So let's create our own governance structure, our own LLC to oversee all this. But the interesting thing is like the companies they're hiring to kind of figure this all out, the software company they're looking at, LBI, they oversee contracts for the NBA. The other one, Deloitte, I might be mispronouncing that.
Oh, Shannon and Maddie are going to be mad that we don't know how to pronounce that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
They're a company that they want to
Deloitte?
operate.
Deloitte, maybe?
I don't know. They're the company they want to operate the NIL clearinghouse to determine the fair market value for players signing NIL deals outside of the revenue sharing. So the $20.5 million set aside in one pot to pay players. Okay. And then NIL, which is commercials, branding, post this on your social media, I'll pay you $15,000 or whatever. This clearinghouse would look at those deals and go, is this a real deal? Is this something you're actually getting a return on investment? Which right now you would argue this is all pay for play. You're not actually getting $15,000 worth from this player for saying, hey, this local barbecue joint is sponsoring you for $20,000. Are they actually getting, is that a $20,000 deal? Is that worth it?
So almost like an advisor looking out for the business or for the athlete, or just
both, but also saying, hey, this deal's BS.
Or this is like shady.
This is shady. You can't do that, or you're going to be ineligible.
This is
you
money
have to
laundering.
Strike that contract, or you're ineligible to play.
Okay.
Things like that. So we'll see where that goes. But they're trying to get this all done quickly because the revenue sharing is coming. And if the NCAA and the government aren't going to really step in, they got to do something that's at least a stopgap for them. I'm very curious to see who they would hire as the CEO, because I know it's just, we say CEO. In a lot of ways, I think indirectly, this CEO is almost like the football czar everybody's been wanting forever.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, you can't do that. You can do this. You got to come to me. Buck stops here. We don't have that. We haven't quite had that. The NCAA president, but he just answers to the presidents and everybody. This would be something that would be like a separate entity.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
It's like a little NFL commissioner.
Sorta.
In a way.
And this isn't just for college football. It's for all sports. So.
It's
also a big undertaking.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking. You're talking about 60.
I think of everything in the framework of football, I guess.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
65 to 66 power conference teams. You're also going to have programs within the smaller conferences that are in the power structure opt into this that won't pay $20.5 million. They'll stay below that cap. So do they have to report to this? I don't think they will, because it's only the power conferences developing this. So why do I need to report to you when you didn't include us in the room
Notre
to discuss
Dame looking
this?
at you?
No. Notre Dame is involved in this. They're a power team. I'm talking like if it's Boise State or Utah State, something like that, a smaller school that's not in a power conference. That's not considered a power school. Notre Dame's considered a power school, even though it's independent, not a conference.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
Apologies, Notre Dame.
Yeah. You've managed to insult
I'm not insulting.
I'm not runner-up today.
I'm not insulting. I just knew they were independent. INDEPENDENT.
Know what I mean? Is
know
that what he
I mean?
says? I don't
Do you know what that means?
know what that means, son.
We're both old.
We are old. You don't have any first and tea, I hear.
Well, hang on. I don't think I do. But I thought I had a question about yes, I did have a question about the power conference government thing. Did you ever think that your history in government reporting would cross over so much with your sports reporting and mesh up so nicely with all of this and like House committee stuff and like all this?
Mesh up nicely? I'll say this: my government reporting,
I mean, it was small town local government
Yeah.
stuff, but
it was still somewhat. I mean, that stuff helped me out from day one doing college sports. Filing open records requests and
yeah,
dealing with the committee type stuff among the NCAA and even the local conference levels when they're doing legislation, because all that's legalese crap.
yeah,
That they type out or whatever. You got to dissect it and figure out what it actually means in layman terms. But yeah, this all this stuff, getting the government involved. One, I just don't even want to deal with the politics of it, obviously. But also, money rules the world, and I've been dealing with that practically every day.
yeah.
In covering college football, from contracts and conference payouts, getting involved with all that stuff, open records requests. But
Your
yeah,
favorite.
it's going to be, it could be wild still the next few years.
Yeah.
Because, I've been to, back in Atlanta, the national championship game, this organization, which is kind of positioning itself to be the Players Association for college sports potentially, had all these athletes come in and discuss the future of the sport and how they can have their voices at the table. And that's the other big thing is these players are going to have a vote probably somewhere in this somehow. Like if they agree to increase the structure of the revenue sharing, or even as we're discussing earlier on the show, we want to get rid of spring practices and install 10 OTAs or whatever. Well, the players are the one who are doing that. It's our health and safety. Shouldn't we have a say in that? At least one vote among the 12 or whatever?
So is there not currently a players union type situation at all?
And that gets all on the legal discussion. Players aren't employees, so you can't unionize. Also,
they're getting paid.
Yeah. And then also if you develop a players association, you're talking thousands of players. How do you whittle that down to a group that's going to represent all those people with different voices, different opinions, different situations, different living circumstances?
And constant turnover too.
And constant turnover from school to
transfers and what a nightmare.
It's not, this system is just not built to handle this at all. It's a small dock in the middle of the ocean, and they're asking to just bring up every single gigantic yacht, and meanwhile also get the overseas ships carrying all the all our packages from China and overseas and everything. What do you call those the big
cargo ships?
We're like, we got cargo ships
coming
for that
in.
One. We got yachts coming in. We got fishing marine boats from some deep sea expeditions.
We got Bubba Gump shrimp boat coming in.
You just got this small dock in the middle of the ocean. Like, figure it out. We're changing right now. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you get to be involved in my work a little bit this week.
I'm excited.
We're going to.
Can that be my first in tea?
Sure, if you wanted to.
I have nothing else.
Yeah, you don't have much. All right, so the Broyles Awards ceremony, maybe by the time you listen to this, it's already happened. We're going to go there. I'm going to go there and cover it. And you're going to come with me, and we're going to spend an extra day there for Valentine's Day.
Heck yeah.
In Hot Springs. And I'm going to go talk to the coaches who are up for the Broyles Award, which is the top assistant coach in all of college football. 5 finalists this year. I'm going to go out there, go see David Basil, who runs the organization, and then we're going to see some horse races, I guess, Friday.
Go see some ponies.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Win, place, show for the top if you get them.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
so. You get a trifecta.
Yeah, the trifecta. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go get some cash.
Are you going to bet?
Yeah, I'm going to bet on some ponies. Heck yeah.
Okay.
The only time I've been to the races, I went. Mm-hmm. I think I've been twice, and I've bet once. I took $20 cash. This was the mid-aughts. I took $20 cash. I paid to get in. I bought a beer and a sandwich or something. Placed a couple bets. Lost a couple bets. Won a few. Mm-hmm. And I walked out with $20. Hey. That is a true story. I consider that a win.
What are the sandwiches there? They're like a nickel they sell?
Isn't it like a corned beef?
Corned beef hash.
Corned beef hash or something. I did not get that sandwich or something.
They had those on special days. But this is Oaklawn, by the way.
Oaklawn and Hot Springs,
where they have the Arkansas Derby later this spring.
Yeah.
So it's part of that whole Derby circuit thing or whatever. But there's going to be 6 races Friday that are in the, I don't know how many races total, but 6 of them are going to be named after the finalists for the award. And then a 6th race is going to be named after last year's winner.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So Phil Parker, the Iowa defense coordinator, won it last year. I understand he's going to be there, and they're going to have a race named after him.
Fun.
So you can bet on the Phil Parker race.
Are you going to bet on any horses?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
It's fun.
Like,
I don't know anything about
it.
I don't know.
I did it once.
Yeah, it's fun.
The one time I went, and I tried to take it semi-serious. Like I went up and watched. You can watch the horses and the trainer.
No.
And I remember the jockey. I bet on one of them in the top 3, whatever that was. And I remember they changed jockeys right when they went into the thing. For some reason, they had to change a jockey, maybe an injury or something like that. And that jockey fell off the freaking horse on the first turn. The new jockey screwed me, man.
Yeah, that's not good. No, you just got to go on vibes. You just like that name, like the colors.
Yeah, I could do that.
It's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah. So there's your first and tee.
Yeah.
Get you a mint julep.
Yeah, I'll have a mint julep. I get to carry. You got me a Kate Spade collector's bag several years ago that's never made an appearance anywhere. And I'm going to take that. I'm very excited to take that out.
Okay.
So it looks like a little camera. I think it's called the Click bag. Click 3D bag. Very excited about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to take my Kindle. I'm going to read while you're working tomorrow.
Exciting.
And then we're going to go to dinner.
Who's driving?
Well, I thought you were. So this is kind of a surprise to me that it was up for. I thought it was settled, but I guess. Do you need to work on the way down?
I don't think I do. We'll see.
Great.
All right. That's this episode.
Thrilling.
Yeah. Well, that's this episode of Basic AF. I hope you enjoyed it. She's Amanda. I'm Brandon. Hey, do you think people should hit any buttons?
Like and subscribe and hit that like button.
Yeah.
To quote our child.
Please do so. We appreciate it.
See you next time.